am so excited because we have now gone to the third video of my figure skating story, and this is about my ice dance career. For those of you who don't know me, I did single skating till I was about 16 years old. I switched to ice dance, and I actually switched back to single skating when I was 21. Welcome back to my channel. I am so thankful that you guys are still here, and for those of you who are new, thank you for coming here, thank you for subscribing. And just a little side note that it will be easier to understand what I'm talking about if you catch up on the previous videos. I started ice dance when I was 16. I started it because, if you remember from my previous episode, I was heavily injured and I was not allowed to do any jumps anymore. So that meant that I really did not have a choice. And ice dance, for those of you who don't know, is a discipline in figure skating where you do skate with a partner, you do lifts, and you do lots of step sequences. It's very emotional. It reminds me a little bit of ballroom, but on ice. And we have those lifts, but there are quite a few rules and there are no jumps. So it's different from pair skating, which is also with a partner. And I moved to ice dance because I was not allowed to jump anymore. And I was not too tall, so I had quite a lot of partner options to choose from. But first, I did tryouts for about 6 months, and by tryout I mean there's this database called Ice Dance Search or Ice Partner Search, if I'm not wrong, I have to look it up, where you make your profile. It's kind of like, just to explain it the easiest way, is that it's kind of like Tinder or like a dating app. But instead of looking for love, you're looking for someone to skate with. I put my profile up there and I started scrolling through different boys and to look for a partner, and I started tryouts. My first partner was Paul. His name was Paul. He's an American, and I did a tryout with him in Michigan, and it was a pretty good match. It wasn't like an instant click, but there was a lot of potential because we had a good height difference. We had interesting dynamic look because he was very darker curly hair, brown eyes, and I was this pale blonde girl with blue eyes, so it was a cool mix. And we decided to start skating together. So next thing I know, I moved to Michigan. I made lots of new friends, and Michigan, why Michigan is because for figure skating at the time it was like the hub. There was Novi, Michigan, Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, which were the biggest centers of mainly ice dance but also single skating at the time. And I was training with Natalie Pechala-Feibenburza from single skating, Patrick Chan, Adam Rippon, Alyssa Cisney, Caitlin Weaver, Andrew Poget, Caitlin and Hawaii, Jean-Luc Baker, Madison Hubble, Zach Donahue. I was skating with all these people and we were all living in the same complex area. And well, if you looked at my previous episode about my eating disorder, you probably remember that actually in Michigan my eating disorder was the worst. But there are some good things too. I did make like contacts. Actually, if you know Jordan Cowan, who's on Ice Perspectives, I used to skate with him in Michigan. That's how I know him, and that's how we created the super popular over 1 million views video. There were definitely very many good things that came out of living in Michigan. It was such a big life experience for me. I lived with a roommate. I was there for 2 years, and both years I lived with a roommate. First year I lived with my partner, and why we decided not to live together was because it was just a little too stressful that we're like working together, we're training together, and we're just together 24/7, and it just got a little too much and we started fighting on the ice. So we figured that maybe the next season we I find someone else and he finds someone else, and it just balances it out a little bit. Next season I was living with another ice dancer, also a guy, and that was a lot of fun. We actually did have quite a lot of fights as well, and actually they had a pretty dramatic like companionship, and we nothing romantic, but we did piss each other off quite a lot. So I even remember a few months before my partnership with Paul was over, I was actually even kicked out from the apartment, and my stuff was on the street when I came home from training. So that's something interesting that happened to me. But so all of that together, and plus my disease and everything, is just like, it was good training, but too depressing and too much of everything else. And at the time I was still in school, so I was doing online schooling with a regular school and learning everything on my own, or doing private lessons over Skype with some of my teachers. So there was a lot of like these other pressures on me as well to like be well in school. And with Paul we did 4 junior Grand Prix, 2 times junior worlds. And that partnership really, like in general, what ice dance taught me was that even if you're like, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but what it taught me was that, so both times junior worlds, we didn't qualify for the free program, free dance, because my partner unfortunately made a mistake in a very important element, twizzles. And when it happened the first year, I did not expect it to happen the same way again the next year. But you know, like when stuff like this happens, you can't like jump on the other person and blame them for everything, you know. That really teaches you how to be more like patient and serve yourself better. And so it was quite a, like, ice dance is really like relationship without any of the good stuff. I'm not even kidding. If you're not really dating your partner and you're just like a partnership with like professional partnership, then it's really challenging, but also very helpful for your future. To end it was mutual, and it was supported by everyone around us, my federation, and also the coaches and my family and his family. And we actually never stayed in touch, and I don't really feel bad about it. I hope he's doing well. And what started after that was just crazy. So I started desperately looking for a new partner. And just the people that I stumbled on, it's just insane. So what you have to know is that I think it's the same in ballroom and in other sports where you have, like ballet, you definitely have more women than men. So boys, ice dancers, boys, men are definitely in some sort of how do I say, they're privileged. I don't know how to pronounce it, but they have privilege. You understand what I'm saying. And they have it because there's less of them, so they kind of make the rules, and girls kind of have to put up with some stuff that comes up because they know they won't be able to find a new partner. And I knew it going, like leaving my old partner, I knew it was going to be hard to find another one. Thankfully I had like pretty good skating skills, and I had good enough contacts. But just a few examples. I tried out for a month with a young man who I did not know that at first, but afterwards I found out he had a criminal record. He had molested his previous partner. None of that happened to me, but you know, you find this out. So obviously I did not go through with the partnership. Then I had another tryout for a month with Russian coaches and one of the boys that I tried out with, and he started stealing from me. He stole some like cash, like basic stuff, and eventually he just decided to, well, he came to Estonia, and the next day he was supposed to fly home, and then we were supposed to meet up in Moscow and start skating there. And when he flew away from Estonia, he left his skates to our place, and we couldn't get a hold of him for like a week. And then he messages like, yeah, like I actually don't need those skates anymore. I'm not gonna be skating. And also, side note, the girls usually pay for everything. Not like a rule, but very often boys get like bought It's never the girl, it's always the boy that gets paid for, and their living expenses, everything, if you want to have like a decent partner. So you can understand like they're kind of like sliding on that in some ways, unless we're dealing with like some really high level skaters who are already established their name. So in those cases, obviously all of this is very different. But I wasn't as established. I had only done ice dance for 2 years. Not moved, I had a tryout in Vancouver, which honestly, my Vancouver life is probably one of the most significant parts of my, even like my whole life, and that's because of this person here. So her name is Beata, and when I went out for a tryout, I stayed at her place. She's a Finnish skater who I became best friends with, and yeah, she has an awesome family. Hi Beata, hi Ulla. And she was a single skater at the time, and we kind of knew each other from single skating. We never were really friends, but we clicked instantly. And I had a actually really successful tryout in Vancouver. I found this guy it was a good match physically, good match on the ice, and we actually became really good friends. So honestly, I had a little crush on him. Not like I wasn't gonna do anything about it, but it was good to have that little crush because it made our skating more personal and emotional, but we never did anything. And I moved to Vancouver. I was able to live with Berta and her family, and that was honestly so much fun. We had such a good summer, and so I moved to Vancouver for summer training. And meanwhile, the training was also good. We got new programs, and I was really happy. I did get injured that summer, like really badly from changing the skates, but nonetheless, we were training, and we came to Estonia in August for so-called test skate, and the federation loved us. Afterwards, we fly back to Vancouver, and I think about a few weeks after we fly back to Vancouver, he texts me in the morning saying, "Hey, I'm not gonna join the ballet class today." And I was like, "Oh, okay, why? Is everything okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, everything's okay, I'm just not coming." And I was like, "That, it's a little weird." So I did the ballet class, and there was another class after me, and he shows up for that. And so this is what happened. As I'm walking out of the ballet room, there's like a corridor, and he walks with his friend and some other skaters, and I'm like, "Hi." And he's like, "Hey, Joe, this is not working out. This is not gonna work out." And I'm like, "What?" So basically he told me that we're not gonna be skating together. And this was after I decided not to apply for college in Estonia because I can't be there. I left my boyfriend in Estonia. We had 11-hour time difference, and we had to do long distance because I had to skate in Vancouver. And after we show ourselves to the federation, and they start like a bunch of paperwork, and so we were pretty tied with like quite a few things, and I was in a complete shock. So that was a very very like, it shook me up. And I was like, and he was like, "I have to go to ballet, so I'll talk to you later." So I ran home, hysterically crying. Beata came home. She was really she was so supportive and like hugged me, and like, and I tried to figure out what to do. My mom was very supportive, my dad as well. They tried to find the first flight possible and affordable for me to fly back home, and I had to stay there for like another week or two. I spoke to the coaches that, "No, we're not skating anymore." They were like, and since that conversation, I think I spoke to him once, but then I came back to Estonia, and I was like, "I am done. Like this is so not worth it. I've already basically lost another season, and it's just too much. I want to have a normal life. I want to live a little." And basically that was the end of my half successful ice dance career. I will say I did, with my first partner, we did win all the possible junior titles in Estonia, and we did like some pretty good results in the international level, so it was not all bad, and I really learned so much about figure skating, and it was well, it was just a part of my story. I don't regret it because so many good things came out of it. But some of the stuff was just like really shocking. And, you know, I'm a firm believer that whatever you give out, you get back. And with some of these situations that I explained and some that I didn't, I have gone back in my head and thought like, what did I do wrong that this happened? And maybe I'm like full of myself or something, but I really don't think that some of these things happen because of me. And they happened because some other good things had to happen to me afterwards. I have accepted what was happening, and I accepted that my ice dance career was the way it was. I definitely made some really good contacts. I loved my coaches in Michigan. I was skating with Angelika Krylova. She's amazing. I loved my coaches in Russia. I was skating with Zhuk and Svinin. And all in all, it was like, I'm glad I did not spend another season. So episode 4 is gonna be out in a week. Thank you for watching this. I hope you'll come back in a week, and you know, subscribing really helps because therefore more people will be able to see it and get to know me better. Thank you, and you all stay safe. Bye.